In addition, when you are fully submerged, any creature that is also fully submerged can understand your speech and you understand theirs.
Just picture like going to France or something and shoving somebody in a pool so I can talk to them. Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is what is it?
Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday. It's
Easy
still
peasy.
going strong.
Somehow it's not dead yet.
Yeah, we must. It must. We must have a year of Warlock Wednesdays behind us,
Easily.
surely. All right.
Easily.
All right. Today we're continuing along the subclasses, and today's is Fathomless,
Yes. This
Warlock
war
of the Sea.
Yes. This is the warlocks who like tentacles but not Cthulhu. They're the ones that want to do calamari things, but have it be related to octopi and not old ones. It's like you worship a aboleth of some great power or some other kind of deep creature, like a crustacean god or something. That
Right.
is where the Fathomless sort of comes from. I love it a lot. I actually think I prefer this to Great Old One if I wanted to play that archetype. I like the idea of reskinning this to just be like the tentacles you're getting are from another world as opposed to the Great Deep, just 'cause Old One has some problems. I think this is one of the better Warlock subclasses. I really, really like this thing.
Thematically, do you think it comes from the same place? I mean,
I
where
mean,
else?
I think I would speculate, having done exactly zero research,
Yeah.
that the motif of otherworldliness it does relate to deep sea creatures. Like we know very little about what's in the ocean seas, and we know that wow, octopi are bizarre little color changing smart critters that do a bunch of weird stuff. And the deeper down you go, the weirder things get. So I would say
Yeah.
otherworldliness and deep sea kind of go together. So I find that overlap works a lot.
All right. Where are we starting with the spell lists?
Oh yeah. Often overlooked, never to be though. It's an important element of the warlocks subclasses. This one actually is an interesting one. I try to hope like my goal with these is when if I'm getting one, at least half of them I'm regularly happy to take. And I think this just barely squeaks by hitting that mark. So your first level options are, and notably, sorry, before I go on, you're a warlock. You have to learn these. You don't just get them for free as of
All right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
player's handbook before the playtest. I believe in the playtest they're giving them they're changing it so warlocks just auto like you get your uh patron spells just for free on your known spells. That is currently not the case in the player's handbook. That may also not be the case for specifically the Fathomless coming into the next edition. We'll see when we get there. In any
Yeah.
case, your first level options you got Creator Destroy Water, and Thunderwave. It's
All right.
okay.
How much water can you create with
Too
Creator
much.
Destroy
It's like
Water?
5 gallons or something obnoxious.
All right. So
Sorry, it's
that's
10 gallons. It's a lot.
all right. That's not all right because I was thinking, oh, this might actually be useful because some of your features require water, but they require more water than this.
I mean, if you're small and you can submerge yourself in 10 gallons of water, I think that's not unreasonable, right?
I feel like we've talked about this before, like in a like a body bag or something. You fill
Yeah.
it with water or like a wetsuit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how grung get to function around in the desert, right? Is you have a wetsuit
Right.
full of
Okay.
water.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe.
This is more a gimmick spell than anything else that leads to some interesting conversations about does survival D&D get played whenever you're not playing survival D&D? So, it's not
Are
anything I'm
either
particularly
of
compelled to
these
take.
something you're going to take as a warlock?
Thunderwave at least scales. It does upcast for bonus D6 damage, or sorry, D8 damage as you go on and on. Like I don't want to cast it, but you
Mhm.
will occasionally. I think Thunderwave is. I don't rate Thunderwave that highly, but it's still like a middle of the pack kind of spell. I think Warlocks are in the market for a decent first level damage spell a lot of the time, and sometimes it's the best you got. So I can see there being a real amount of Fathomless Warlocks that stick this on their sheet. You get to like 9th or 10th level, you be like, oh, I have this, and this is the one scenario where I knock somebody off a bridge. Huzzah! And then it comes up again.
Speaking of knocking somebody off a bridge,
Gust of Wind is a
yeah,
second level option you get. I learned recently that it comes out of you constantly. You don't set it somewhere and then like angle it around. No, it projects from you. I have been playing the spell wrong for years. It's still not great, right?
well, I mean, it depends on how much you value force movement. I think I value it more highly than you. Still, if I want this kind of effect, I'll get it via repelling blast.
It's also the kind of thing where this doesn't scale at spell level at all, and you're a
Yeah.
warlock, so you're always
Yeah.
casting those with your highest level slot, which never is gonna feel amazing. In the same vein, actually, I have played a Fathomless Warlock. It was I play a lot of Warlocks if I ever get to play. This one took silence because I was like, this is a great spell, and I know we're playing at a relatively high power table, and then I can engage with this a little bit.
Hmm.
It did with the help of our barbarian, we were able to lock down a Demi Lich, so it could not use its power word kill on anybody. It was a genuinely useful tool to have silence. I spent a fourth level slot in it. It didn't feel good, but I had to do it. So like, I think silence is the kind of effect that you want to have on your sheet to pull out an instance. I probably don't take it to third level ever though. So
I mean, if you lock down a lich, that feels good
Demi
to me.
Lich.
All right, yeah.
That was
Still,
one encounter, right? And
all right,
having a silver bullet in your sheet somewhere is easier on Warlock, especially in the upper tiers. It's
all right,
fine that it's here.
yeah.
This is where things
Well,
get a lot
what do
more
we got?
exciting though. You get
Third
Lightning
level.
Bolt. That's like matching fireball damage in a more fun area because it's a line. I love lines. I'm a slut for lines, one might say. It is a fantastic just explosion of damage. It scales well. You will not be afraid as this archetype, specifically because of the features we're going to get. You will not hate just blasting out lightning bolts from time to time with your one of your 3 spell slots, especially when you got other things to do in combat. And this does
Mhm.
have other things to do in combat. So while you will often want to have a summon to ally up or just have a long duration concentration effect kind of thing going. There will be plenty of fights where you'll feel like you've got a lot to do, even without having to really rely on your spell list. And that to the point where you're like, yeah, I do just want 96 or 10d6 damage in a line right now. It fries 3 things. That's great, even at 13th, 14th level. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I can't argue with lightning bolt.
It's
Then
true.
there's sleep
Can you?
storm.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know. This one is another kind of silver bullety effect where it's like, we don't want this fight. Sleep Storm and go. And it doesn't upscale at all.
But it
Eh,
is enormous.
Sure is.
If
40-foot
for
radius sphere is
Yeah,
gigantic.
I had the opportunity to use this in a game I played last week, and
Hmm.
it did like take two big ogres out of a fight, and yeah, I was able to focus more on things that were away from them. So I finally got a useful use of Sleet Storm.
Yeah.
Yay.
This is that this is a weird little odd thing, right? Where like you do actually want to be able to put this somewhere would only eat some creatures so you can kill others while they're just
Mhm.
miserably stuck in it. But that has to be far enough away that they can't get out of it immediately. But in that window, which sounds like you just had, it was powerful there, right?
I also knocked several allies prone. So for
That's a
what
love
that's
sight in
worth.
your mind.
It I mean it doesn't do damage. I thought that was a bad thing before, but like in this use of it, I thought, oh well, it's okay if they fall over. They can get back up, and I'm I was down to like 3 hit points or something, so I needed to get away from these ogres.
Hmm.
All
In that
right.
instance, seems pretty decent.
Yeah.
I still am not that high on Sleep Storm, but again, in the same vein as Silence, I think you'll find encounters where it's very powerful, and that'll make it worth considering again at like 11th, 12th level when you're no longer getting new 5th level spells.
Yeah, I'd have a
For
hard time with the limited amount of spells you get as a warlock. I'd have a hard time picking Sleet Storm as a third level option.
at 5th level, I really don't think you want to be anywhere near it. I think you're right. 4th level spells, you get Control Water, which is booty, right? It's cool. It's not particularly good. The coolest effect is redirect flow, but like for the most part, this is a way to cosplay as Moses. I don't know if a warlock is into that. So like doesn't scale, so can't get upcast reasonably well. It's really narrow. Summon Elemental is the other one you get though, and that one is a banger, assuming you like are glutton for punishment like me and just wanna. I'm thinking of Conjure. This is the boring like updated Tasha's version. It's still powerful though. Summons are
Yeah,
always good, right?
yeah,
The modality
yeah.
removed from it is a little bit annoying, but I think water was one of the better ones anyway. If memory serves,
I don't mind
Com-
that. It fits the theme.
yeah, it's good. Water elementals are solid. Why not? The final
Liquid.
fifth level, the final options. God, I love this so much. They gave you Bigsby's hand. However, it appears as a tentacle,
Is
which
this
is
the is this the only spell they do this to?
they
I
just should
can't
do
think
it
of.
to more.
Yeah,
Learn from this. This is sweet, right? I don't think it's the only one. I think there's a couple other that change appearance this way. But this reframes a really iconic and powerful spell to be really powerful and effective on a new archetype of character. I think It expands off of what else they're doing, what we're going to talk about soon. I love this inclusion. And you
Mm.
also get Cone of Cold, which is also just a banger damage spell that'll compete with your Lightning Bolt, but it hits a better area. So yeah, it's an upgrade.
Yeah, this is a pretty good expanded spell list. I'm a big fan of Big B's hand.
Yeah, I get why. It does a million things.
Yep.
You also will note that like the ones that we spend time talking about hit the marks we want for Warlock spells. They either long duration concentration or have an enormous impact. Bigsby's hand, long, powerful duration concentration effect. Love it. Cone of Cold, huge impact. Lightning Bolt, huge impact. Summon Elemental, big, long duration concentration effect that's powerful. Sleep Storm, huge impact, right? Like all
It's
of these
just huge. Yeah.
spells. Yeah. And even Silence in the window that I put it at, that is a huge impact. Denying someone the ability to cast verbal component spells is really powerful when you need it and can keep them in place. So, like, there are a lot of good Warlock options here, even if all of them don't scale with level. Now, moving on to the bread and butter of what this actually gets. You get the first level feature. We'll start with the boring feature. You get Gift of the Sea, which is a 40-foot swim speed, and you can breathe underwater. Okay.
Boring, yes, but I mean, if you're playing in water, a swim speed and breathing underwater is good to have. But I love that it's 40 feet. You're swimming fast.
Yeah. I like this really highlights this is, I think, one of the options that presents great subclass design more than any other options that have been released in a while. This is the highlights to say in water, you are fast and you are effective, but you're also competent out of water because you also get Tentacle of the Deep. So first level, you can magically summon a spectral tentacle that strikes at your foes. As a bonus action, you make a 10-foot long tentacle at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. It lasts a minute or until you use this feature to create another tentacle. When you create a tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against one creature within 10 feet of it. On a hit, it takes a d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you reach 10th level in the class, the damage increases to 2d8. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the tentacle up to 30 feet and repeat the attack. And then you can summon a tentacle a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and get them all back when you finish a long rest.
All
In
right.
aquatic environments, you are got Gift of the Sea, you got a slow underwater, you got all kinds of things happening, you are thriving. In all environments, you still have a powerful bonus action option you're repeatedly falling back to, you're using more and more and more. You will have no shortage of times where you'll be like, we're going to an encounter, Tentacle of the Deep comes up. It hits something for a d8 bonus damage every single round. It's got a 60-foot range, so it can actually force things to dash at you, which is very impactful if you get the drop on things. There's a lot of to love about little Tentacle of the Deep action that thrives in complex and tight battle maps where you can keep moving around and slapping people around. The slow matters a little bit less, but the extra bonus damage every single round adds up, and it just costs you a feature. I think it's a really solid little option to play around with.
I mean, the 10-foot movement thing, I think it matters maybe more than you're giving it credit for. I mean, yes, you can force a dash, but now you can force a dash and they aren't even going to make it.
I mean, I guess if their speed is 30, right, they're only going 40
Yeah.
feet. That is pretty solid. And then you could, on your turn, move it 30 feet so it's within 10 feet of the creature that just dashed and hit it again. That's kind
Yeah.
of cute. So yeah, if it's exactly 60 feet away from you, that is really, really solid. 10-foot reduction in speed can be good. That's like at the window where you're exactly 60 feet apart and you care about exactly that one thing. I think more often what's going to happen is you're going to slam this down in the middle of a fight. It's going to start slapping things around. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
probably within 40 feet of you is where it like from 40 to 60 feet is where it's excellent. And then within that distance, it's just going to feel like a bonus damage you get every single round. For all of those points, I think this is spectacular. It goes on blasters easily because it's got a huge range. It goes on martial characters easily because it doesn't take your concentration and is like your greatsword attack with a greatsword twice and then hit something over the head with your tentacle. You greatsword
And
something twice, hit something over the head with your tentacle. What's not
and
to
am I
love?
missing something, or is like this can't be attacked, right?
Nope, it is an intangible
Yeah.
tentacle, like a spiritual weapon. The only
That's
really
pretty
big
cool.
downside is the damage floor is still a D8. It doesn't have modded damage, which I think is kind of it probably doesn't need to, but it would be a really big meaningful impact if at like fifth level it added charisma to damage, and then at 10th level got the D8 bump. As is, the scaling is kind of poor. At least they did make some scaling into it here at first level. This 10th level feature isn't 1d10 bonus damage or 1d8 bonus damage on a hit like many other options do get. So that's, meaningful.
Also, I think if you're using it, if you're in a crowded fight or something, and you are getting to slap things around with it every round, um, I think there are going to be instances that come up where the 10-foot slow matters, and look, somebody is not going to be able to get where they wanted to. Look, I don't think it's something you necessarily are going to be able to plan for, but I think you know what I'm saying. I think it's just
Yeah, I would guess that's not most battle maps. I would say there's probably a little bit below 50% of the time where you can get a move speed reduction to matter in a fight once. If you wanted to have even more than that, it's going to be even fewer fights, like far fewer fights. And there will be some fights where it just won't have that impact ever
Yeah,
because it's just too tight. But I do agree that there will be instances where it can matter ones of times per fight. And that's not nothing.
yeah. All right, what else we got?
All right, so sixth level gives Oceanic Soul and Guardian Coil. Oceanic Soul, at sixth level, you are now even more at home in the depths. You gain resistance to cold damage. In addition, when you are fully submerged, any creature that is also fully submerged can understand your speech, and you understand theirs.
Just picture like going to France or something and shoving somebody in a pool so I can talk to them.
I just like you bring around like a large trough with you and be like, we don't understand each other. And then it's just come here, come here, come here. And then you just both dunk your heads underwater and you start chatting, and it's really awkward. Oh, that sounds really funny to me.
Oh,
Yeah. In options of old, this would have been the only sixth level feature you got, and we would call it hot trash. But resistance to cold damage, underwater communication is really cute. I think they're both pretty flavorfully meaningful addition to this character sheet. It again gives you the window where in these scenarios where you're against cold damage, you feel like a boss because you take half damage against the white dragon. That's kind of awesome, right? You also get a universally useful feature though in Guardian Coil. So at
good.
sixth level, your Tentacle of the Deep can defend you and others, interposing itself between them and harm. When you or a creature you can see takes damage while within 10 feet of the tentacle, you can use a reaction to choose one of those creatures and reduce the damage dealt to it by a d8. When you reach 10th level, the damage reduction increases to 2d8. Neat.
Yeah, this is gonna feel extra cool when you have the Bigby's hand tentacle alongside of it.
Yeah. You're gonna that the top end fantasy of this, you really do. It does a great job. You've got a big massive tentacle from the baby hand that's doing a lot of cool things to defend you. You got another one out that your bonus action you can control around. It's like an upgraded version of it, basically. It's delightful. Big fan
Yeah.
of it. This little feature, though, is a consistent reaction you're using every single fight because I promise you, you will not run out of proficiency bonus uses of the tentacle coils at the vast majority of tables. If you're having more than 3 fights per long rest, that is ones of tables that exist right now. So like you will have this up every fight it matters. And whenever it's up, just have somebody near it. If you're a blaster, your allies can be near it. If you're a blade block, you can be near it. All of that plays really well into giving a wide, diverse array of warlocks the desire to put this on their character sheet.
Yeah, this is so far I am wanting to stay in Warlock.
Yeah. Notably, like, I don't want to make it sound like these features are like game warpingly powerful. They aren't. A D8 every round is not a ton. It is every round though, and it does give you other things. And this is on top of getting Lightning Bolt. This is on top of getting the other good supportive options we saw that the upper tier Spanish Spellist gives you. This is on top of that little useful bonus action every single round, slap something around. So like this adds up to give you a ton of little bonuses that give you feel like you have things to do all the time when you play
Yes,
this
it's
option.
not garbage and it's fun.
Yeah, that's also true. 10th level, you get Grasping Tentacles. So this is an addition to your Guardian Coil and Tentacle improvements that have been naturally occurring. There used to just be a time where your 10th level feature would be Guardian Coil and Tentacle of the Deep do a bonus D8 on damage and D8 reduction. Not today. Today you get Grasping Tentacles. You learn Edvard's Back Tentacles. It counts as a Warlock spell for you, but doesn't account against the number of spells you know. Oh, you can also cast it once without using a Warlock spell slot. And you regain the ability to do so when you finish a long rest. Whenever you cast a spell, your patron's magic bolsters you, granting you a number of temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level. Moreover, damage can't break your concentration on this spell.
That's cool.
If this just you said you learned of Ard's Black Tentacles, you'd be like, whatever. It's a bonus spell. At least you got the passive improvements. If this just gave you a use, like a free use of Ard's Black Tentacles, you'd be like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like you get a fourth level slot just banked for free. That's pretty solid. And you get it back when you finish a long rest, so it's not like short rest spell slot, but it's an extra fourth level spell. That's fine. It
Oh,
also makes the spell better for you specifically. That's
yeah.
awesome.
And
And
we recently did a video on Everett's Black Tentacles, and I think we didn't give it a lot of credit, but we had some comments pointing out that it's maybe better than we gave it credit for.
no, I
And
read those comments. I stand by
did
my
you? Yeah.
opinion.
Okay. But I don't know. I like compare combined with Guardian Coil and your Tentacles of the Deep and your Bigby's hand tentacle. There's tentacles everywhere. It's
Yeah.
great.
On top of that, this like we haven't even mentioned the temp HP this gives you on top of it is another improvement, and it doesn't care if you cast it with a free spell or if you cast it with a Warlock spell slot, which
Mm.
means you can really just dig in to I'm going to play the Tentacle Master. I'm going to summon a Vortex Black Tentacles and get a bunch load of bonus temporary hit points. And I'm just going to do this every fight. If you do it with a Greatsword, it's kind of sweet because you've got, like, you're attacking, hacking through things, restraining a bunch of creatures. You don't drop it from taking damage, as well as bolstering more hit points. That's kind of awesome. On repelling blasters that you like to play so much, like to talk about so much, you can use this at range, repelling blast people into them. Even if you're getting hit, it's staying up and you can keep that pattern going. So all of these little pieces make a wide variety of archetypes go, this works for me. I can work with this. That's awesome.
I'd love to play this with a DM that wasn't really familiar with it. There's just tentacles all over the map. He's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think
Here,
this
I just noticed something. Can you
hmm.
read the first sentence of Guardian Coil again?
At 6th level, your tentacle deep can defend you
All
and
right,
others.
stop. Where are you reading this?
I'm reading it on the D&D wiki dot.
Yeah, me too. It's bothering me. At sixth level, your tentacle of the deeps.
Uh,
Come on, tentacles of the deep.
no, it's your tentacle of the deep. It's a single tentacle still.
I know, but what? But this is pluralizing it just in the wrong place.
Yeah, listen, maybe this is either whoever copy and pasted it manually onto the D&D wiki dot copied it incorrectly, or there's a typo in a printed book.
Yeah,
Which can you live with more so that
do
we can
better.
move on?
Go
Okay.
on. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Tentacle of the deeps.
All right,
Oh,
sure. Maybe that's even grammatically correct. We're both just wrong. That just annoys you because it's British or something. I don't know. British English does weird things sometimes compared to what I'm
British
used
people
to.
are wrong.
Okay, sure. We close things off with Fathomless Plunge. So when you reach 14 level, you can magically open temporary conduits to watery destinations. As an action, you can teleport yourself and up to 5 other willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you. Amid a whirl of tentacles, you all vanish, then reappear up to a mile away in a body of water you've seen, pond size or larger, or within 30 feet of you, each of you appearing in an occupied base within 30 feet of the others. Once you use it, you can't again until you finish a short or long rest.
I guess this is cool. More
Uh,
tentacles.
yeah, this is a weird little utility overworld travel thing. It isn't great. It's like the
But it's only
it the,
within a
that
mile, and there needs to be water.
yes. This does play on a different axis. This kind of plays more on the axis that like the OG Ranger features did, where you would want to have an amount of like time spent doing survival. You care about this a lot in the instance where we're going to a dungeon. Before we go in, we need to find a body of water I can teleport us to in case of emergencies. And you just scout out until you find one. And then this kind of acts as a get out of jail free card, right? Like once
Hmm.
per short rest, if you're getting your ass beat and the whole party's looking injured, you can go, okay, everybody, we're gone, and you just teleport to that body of water safely as an action. 5 other willing creatures in 30 feet. They have to be conscious to be willing, so you make sure that you time out your healing words. You can ready an action to do this because it's an action to use. So there are little way you can sort of use this as an escape button. It's still not always going to work, and that makes it not a particularly powerful feature that I'm like
I
really
think
into. It is cool though.
unless you have time to dig a pond, then I don't think this is going to work most of the times.
A mile is a decent enough area if we're doing like
Yeah,
natural terrain exploration. The moment you go underground, unless you're doing Underdark adventuring, I get a lot more iffy on it. But even then, there are underground like bodies of water. This is a good thing that you would want to compare with like a uh commune with nature. Like you have a druid in the party or a ranger in the party that can give
yeah.
you access to that kind of effect. Then you can kind of find the body of water, note its location, and then go into whatever fight you were going into. It is a lot of extra
This is
head
why
work
I asked
though.
about create or destroy water,
Oh yeah.
but
I
that's not
mean,
going to work with this.
pond? What constitutes a pond? How
Um,
big is a pond?
but if
It's
you,
larger than puddle, but it is smaller than lake, right?
yes.
It says a pond is a body of water less than a half an acre in
Oh,
area or less than 20 feet meters in depth.
all right. So if you have like
It
a
doesn't give us the
day,
floor though, it just gives us the ceiling.
if you had like a day, the mold earth spell, and a bottle, what was a decanter of endless water,
Mhm.
then maybe, build your own pond
I mean,
or you go into the dungeon.
like really, it could just be you take out a shovel, you loosen some dirt, you excavate a little 5 foot cube of it because it puts people within 30 feet of it too, right?
Hmm.
Is a 5 by 5 foot cube constituting of a pond? Eh? At what point does the DM say, "Oh, fine, it constitutes a pawn"? Like after you made the sixth one, after you make the eighth one, like at what point?
After he gets bored.
Yeah. This is an interesting little question that I do think is neat, at least. There will be people that get to mess around with this a lot and have some fun with it. I do like that it's an out of combat utility feature because we this
Yeah.
this option gets a lot of combat options and some out of combat exploration boons, but not really an out of combat feature. This is that. It is a giant teleport. And if you know there's like a water feature and you're like, okay, is that fountain pond sized? By the definition that I just found on the internet, maybe. So like yeah, this is a feature you don't know. I don't know how much mileage you're gonna get out of, but it is at least interesting. So I get to have that kind of enjoyment with it.
I'm not thrilled with it for a capstone feature, but I have had a lot of fun on the way here.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think Tentacle of the Deep and Guardian Coil don't scale that well, which is a big issue for this. I really wish that happened. Like they got the dice bump twice more. I really don't think 48 at a 70th level character as a bonus action is powerful, and they don't even get that. So like, I definitely think this is front loaded. I
Yeah.
think you can probably play 10 levels to like 15 levels of this. 15's a lot, but 10 to 11 levels of this, get your grasping tentacles, have a lot of fun there, and be pretty excited to have this option doing its thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna give it
Uh,
a solid B. I like this option a ton. It is just a little bit underjuiced before it to like really get into that A tier. And like even as far as capstones go, Fathomless Plunge may not be anything to write home about, but again, it has powerful use cases. It can act as a
yeah.
get out of jail free card. It rewards prep. It just sometimes has encounters where it's dead. There are some capstones we've talked about that are just flat out useless. So this at least hits the bar of all the features are usable. Most of them are great.
Yeah. Yeah, B sounds good. It's a little weak, but it's got some fun, definitely fun features and a pretty cool expanded spell list. So I'm happy with it. I'd play a Fathomless Warlock. All right. Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think of the Fathomless Warlock down in the comments below, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.